locked in the cell. They was like, hey, your name P? He was like, yeah, why, what's up? He was like, okay, bet. So about 5 dudes ran in the cell, got the pounding them out, boom, 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 right? So then they end up getting him on his knees, and they end up grabbing his head like this and cocking his face up like this. And the dude pulled out a sword of justice and was like, hey, this for your pops. Boom! Got him right here in his eye. Y'all stay tuned.
Ah, shit. Here we go again.
Welcome to another episode of the Donta Show Network Story Time.
Ah, shit. Here we go again.
Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of the Donta Show Network Story Time. I debated on telling this story because it's so close to my heart. And, you know, I wrestled with this back and forth over the past 2 weeks. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and drop it. And I want y'all to understand something. This is a 100% true story. So let's get to it. So I'm on the yard, and me and my homeboys, we over here, we shooting dice. And Al like, hey Donta, ain't this P? I said, what? He said, right there, come right there. He point, and it's Pierre. I said, P, hey, Pierre, come here. Now, for those that don't know who Pierre is, I have mentioned him maybe once or twice in prior stories. But for those that don't know who Pierre is, Pierre was this dude that I grew up with in Flint, Michigan. I knew Pierre when, so the first school I went to elementary was Wilkins Elementary off of Martin Luther King and Carpenter Road in Flint, Michigan. And Pierre was one of the first guys that I met at this elementary. And me and him been rocking ever since. Pierre actually stayed like 3 houses down from me on Russell Street, right? And throughout the years, man, now, yes, I did move to Atlanta. I did move to Detroit, but we never lost contact until I got about 22 years old and ended up going to prison, right? So when Al pointed him out and I seen him, you know, it gave you that old feeling, you know. And I'm like, hey, Pete, come here. Now, Pierre is kind of on the short side. I'm not even going to say kind of. Pierre's about 4'8", maybe 4'9". He's not even 5 foot. He's a really short, skinny dude, right? So the last time Pierre seen me, I wasn't all jacked up and big the way I am. Well, at that time, right? I was, you know, I wasn't skinny. I had a little meat on me, but not the way I look now, right? So when he seen me, and keep in mind, I got my shirt off because we over here by the weight pile shooting dice, right? So he walked up, and I embraced him. You know, I grabbed him, you know, gave him up. Like, man, what's up, P, man? What the fuck you doing here, bro? What is you doing here? He like, man, what you doing here? I'm like, man, right? So Al give him dap too. Like, man, what's up, man? J-Rock give him dap because we all know him, right? The only people that didn't know him was Homicide and Tar T, right? So I'm letting Homicide and Tar T know, hey, yo, this my guy, man. This my dude, right? So they like, all right, right. I'm like, hey, man, y'all hold him down. You know, he with us. Like, now, listen. I know some of y'all that been watching this channel gonna be like, yo, Donta, what you mean you just automatically put him down? He ain't have to go through none of the tests. He ain't got to go through none of that. Listen, y'all, Pierre was my dog. No, he didn't have to go through none of that. And in hindsight, some of the homies, they felt some type of way, like, man, how you just gonna put this dude down? You know what I'm saying? He ain't got to go through nothing. Yeah, because I'm the boss and that's the homie, right? So we walk in the yard, and I almost feel like I'm not even in prison no more, because when I say this was one of my dogs, he was right under Al, when it comes to the hierarchy of my homies. And y'all know how high Al was up on the hierarchy, right? So me and him just walk in the yard. I said, man, it's good to see you, man. He was like, yeah, I mean, under the circumstances, but you know, he like, man, how you get that damn big? I'm like, shit, just push ups, sit ups, and eating this bullshit, man. He was like, dang, you big. I said, yeah. I said, man, Pete, man, what? How did you get in here, man? What did you do? He dropped his head. And he was like, man, I don't want to talk about it. I said, you don't want to talk about it? He was like, no, man, it's some bullshit, man. It's some bull. So I stopped and I said, P, please tell me you ain't in here on no bullshit charges, bruh. He like, what's that? I said, you ain't touching no child. You ain't violating no woman. He said, no, Higgs, no, man, no. No, Higgs, no, man. I caught a body. I said, you caught a body? He was like, yeah, but that's why I don't want to talk about it. I said, did you catch a body of a child or a woman? He was like, no, man, I just really don't want to talk about it. I'll let you know, though. I'll let you know. I said, all right. Now, listen, I'm not going to sit up there and press him on what he did because, you know, taking somebody's life is not something to be proud of, especially when you very remorseful, right? That you really feel bad for what you did. So, you know, a lot of people be bragging like, yeah, I did this, I did that. But when they get alone and they by themselves, yeah, they feel the whole weight of it, especially if it was on some bullshit. Now, I ain't talking about if somebody kicking your door and they trying to rob you and you ain't got no choice to lay them down or whatever. I'm talking about, you know, if you and your homie or you or somebody arguing and things escalate and you pull out and you get to squeezing on them and you take their life or whatever, and then y'all know what I mean. But anyway, so I'm like, all right, what unit they got you in? And he tell me the unit or whatever. I'm like, oh no, you gonna have to get sent over here. You come to our unit, right? Matter of fact, we finna go to the guards right now and, you know, holler at them. So we get over there, whatever, and I'm talking to the captain when I was tied in pretty much with all the guards, whatever, with some of the guards, whatever. So they do a cell assignment or whatever. They swap them out and they put them in my cell, right? So we hit the yard again and nothing really eventful took place. We just out there. I'm showing him how to work out or whatever, and that's telling him what the do's and don'ts, whatever. So it's time to go in. We gonna fast, you know, we go to child, you know, dinner, whatever, all that jazz, whatever, and, you know, we kicking it in the day room, and now it's time for lockup. So now we in the cell. So I'm like, P, he like, what's up? I said, P, what happened, bruh? What happened? He was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. I'm gonna tell you. I'm like, what's up, P? He said, look, before I tell you this, I want you to know that I am really sorry for what I did. Like, I'm so sorry for what I did. I'm like, what's up, P? What happened? He was like, you know, I've been staying with my pops and mom like forever, right? I said, yeah. He was like, well, one day, you know, pops and moms end up going to a funeral and pops told me to, you know, do the dishes or whatever. I was like, okay. He was like, so, you know, pops told me to do the dishes, do the kitchen, and have it done before he get back, whatever. So pops them leave, and then a couple hours go by, pops come back for whatever reason. He come upstairs and he tell me like, why the fuck I didn't clean the kitchen? I said, okay. He was like, well, basically, you know, we was arguing and I don't know what came over me. I don't know what came over me, but I ended up grabbing, you know, the gun and I just got to squeezing on him. I said, P. He said, yeah, see, that's why I didn't want to talk about this. I said, whoa, hold up. you killed your pops, dog? He was like, yeah, I did. Let me tell y'all something. And this is why I didn't want to tell this story, and I've been holding on for the last 2 weeks. But I said, somebody out there might be listening to this story, and it might be them. A man child living with their parents, all well up into their 30s. Ain't never left the house, like no motivation to leave. And then you get tired of your parents telling you what to do, but you under their roof. But you steady hollering you grown, but you under their roof and you don't want to do nothing. So there's a lot of cats out there that's in this predicament. Hopefully they don't do what Pierre did, right? So I said, P. He said, yeah, man, I don't know. Something just took over me. I just couldn't stop shooting him, man. I said, okay, what happened after that? He was like, man, I just went outside and drank a beer and walked to the store and came back to the house and called the police. I said, P. He said, yeah, man, I know. So he was like, yeah, that's why I didn't want to tell you. Let me tell y'all something. I wasn't super close with P dad, but I knew him, right? I knew he was a good guy. He was really a good dude, right? He was like a family man I think he had like 6 or 7 kids. He was a chef too. And he held down the house. He would be what in the black community will be called, like, he would be like somebody to look up to. You know what I mean? And when Pete told me what he did to him, I'm like, damn, P, I had mixed emotions on this, because now I'm really thinking about his sisters, right? And his brothers. And I'm thinking like, damn, how they feeling? Like, I don't know, man. I was kind of torn. You know what I'm saying? So I said, damn, P, that's messed up, bruh. So I lay down, right? Now keep in mind, P on the top rack, right? And he was like, hey, man, Donta, I'm going to be real with you. I ain't going to be able to do this bid. I said, what you say? He said, I ain't going to be able to do this bid, bruh. I'm like, how much time they give you? It was like, man, they gave me natural life without parole. I said, hey, man, this what happens. He was like, how much time you got left? I said, shit, I maxed out at 10, but I mean, I probably got 7 more years ago. He was like, man, bro, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this, man. I'm not built for this prison, bro. I'm not. I said, look, P, you did what you did, man. And you here. You here. And this is what happens where, where bad guys go. This is what happens, man. He was like, yeah, I know, but, man, I didn't really mean to do that shit, man. And I just keep reliving that moment. Like, I can't get it out my head, man. It's like I'm going crazy, especially when I try to go to sleep, man. I just can't get it out my head, man. So I said, Pete, that's just a part of being a killer, man. That's just part of being a killer. He was like, man, bro, I ain't mean to do that shit, bro. I didn't. I said, it don't matter. It's done. It's done. Now you just got to move forward, man. This is your life. This is just what it is. So he was like, man, you right, man, but I ain't going to be able to do this, bro. I'm not. I'm just letting you know right now. So I got out the bed and I stood up. I said, what you mean? He was like, dog, like I said, I'm not going to be able to do this time. Ain't no way I can be in here for the rest of my, man, I'm 28 years old. Ain't no way I can't die in here, man. I'm not finna be like Eddie Murphy and Martin off of Life in here, man. No, man, I can't. And then he started crying. So then I grabbed him like, man, hey, stop that shit, man. cut that shit out. I had to like put him like real close up to my chest because he got to crying a little loud. So I had to muffle that cry, because there's wolves out here, man. They hear this dude crying. Now listen, y'all. Yes, people do cry at night, right? But you better keep that crying inside. You can let a couple tears escape. But if dudes hear you crying in there, they gonna zoom in, and it's weakness. I'm telling y'all, prison ain't nothing but predator and prey, right? Dudes would seek out every and any type of advantage over you, and crying is one of them. I done cried many nights in prison, right? But nobody never heard me because I just kept it in, right? So I'm like, dog, you can't be doing that, man. You can't be doing. He like, no, man, I just can't do this, man. I done spent 2 years in the county, and then I got to be here for the rest of my life, man. I can't. I said, listen, man, your pops ain't here. He can't cry. Your sisters, your brothers, your mama. Imagine what they going through day in, day out, and especially how you did what you did. Man, the fuck up. Man up. He like, man, I'm just gonna go to sleep, bro. I'm gonna just go to sleep. I said, all right, man. So I get back in my bed, right, and I'm laying there. I can't sleep now, right, because I don't know what this dude capable of doing. I don't know if he's going to try to take a dive off the bed. Now, keep in mind, y'all, these beds is like 6 feet, right, from ground to top where I'm at, right? Well, where he at. And how short this dude is, he got a good 4 feet to fall to crack his head, right? And I done seen dudes try to do that. I done seen dudes get that, get the bed sheets, wrap it up, and, try to do that thing right there. I done seen dudes, like I just said, lean off the bed a little bit and then nose dive and try to crack their cranium. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking like, man, this dude, man, I try to jump off this damn bunk, man. So I'm up and I just couldn't fight the sleepiness no more. So I finally went to sleep, y'all. So the next morning, I hurry up and pop up, right? And P is sitting up reading the Bible. And I'm like, good morning, P. He like, oh, what's up, man? I said, what you reading? He was like, man, I ain't never read the Bible before. I said, you ain't? He said, no, man. I mean, shoot, I got all this time. I might as well. I mean, because after this, it's death, right? I said, yeah, I guess that's the way to look at it. He was like, man, Donta, I remember growing up, you was real well versed in the Bible, man. I said, yeah. He was like, you think I'm going to hell for what I did? I said, well, according to the scriptures, Jesus said that, if you repent, then you'll be forgiven, He was like, yeah, but I killed my dad, though. I said, yeah, but I mean, think about it like this. You remember Saul? He was one of the Christian, he was killing Christians. He was hunting Christians. And then he was turned to Paul. Jesus reached out to him and said, hey, why are you persecuting me? And he was like, who are you? And he said, Jesus. And, Jesus converted him. And he was a killer of Christians. And he changed his name to Paul. And, do you think he's going to hell for what he did? He was like, yeah, I see what you're saying. I said, yeah, man. I said, look, man, I'm not the judge. I don't dictate where souls go. Yes, you did a horrific crime. You did. But it's time for you to forgive yourself. And it's time for you to heal, man. Because, I mean, if you just keep thinking about it, you're going to end up going crazy. You're going to be in a hole. They're going to have you on these medications, and God knows what's going to happen to you. He was like, yeah, I think I'm going to just study the word and just be I'm gonna just try to be a better man. Listen, y'all. I know that sound ideal, and I wish that I can tell y'all that this how I went. That Pierre went out and lived his life. A godly man. But this is prison, and it's about to get dark real fast. So about a good 2 weeks ago by, and P is with us. He with me and the homies, right? We working out together, we mealing together, we teaching him the do's and don'ts. We even teaching him the trade of what we do. And for those that don't know what me and my crew did, we offer protection to weaker inmates for a fee, of course, right? So we had him do a little trial runs to go get the money, give him a knife, and just in case somebody trying to do a little pushback, give him a knife, have him run down on the cat that or whatever. And, he was doing pretty well, right? Every 2 years at this prison, they just move people just randomly. It was about 1,500 inmates at this prison, and they moved like 750 just randomly one day, right? They locked the whole prison down, and they come in there, the goon squad come in there, and they already got the buses loaded. I mean, they got the buses outside, right? So they hit us at 4 o'clock in the morning. Boom, right? Doors popping, doors coming open, right? I don't know. At first, because I was knocked out, so at first I thought they was just coming in there to tear up the cell or whatever, random shakedown. But no, I done seen this before. So they Donta, let's go. I'm in my drawers, y'all. I'm like, man, what's going on? Let's go. I'm like, man, hold on. I gotta get my shit. They like, no, we gonna get your shit, man. So they grab me up and put me in handcuffs. And I've noticed there's other guys that's getting marched downstairs in the middle of the floor, right? So I'm like, this is some bullshit. So we all sitting there, whatever, and they letting us know y'all about to get transferred to another prison and all this and that. And I'm like, what? So I'm like, oh, man, right? So, yeah, that's how they do it. They come in the dead middle of the night and grab you, right? So they end up getting us, whatever. They end up marching us on the bus. They got all our property and all this and that. And here we go off to another prison, right? Now, this story is still about Pierre. This whole story ain't nothing but about Pierre. So I get to my new prison. I know a couple of cats here, whatever. I'm getting settled in or whatever. So I get up on the jack. And for those that don't know what the jack is, it's a phone, whatever. So I get on the jack and, I'm trying to see where all my homies at. Well, my main core, Al, Tarty, Homicide, J-Rock, Al. And I'm trying to figure out, did Pierre go anywhere? And I find out that Pierre didn't. Pierre is the only one that didn't, get caught up. Right. So I'm going to say maybe about 2-3 months passed, and I wasn't, keeping tabs on them or nothing like that, because I still got to do what I do. People come, people go. That's just what prison is. Right. So I'm going to say about 5 months ago by. Right. And I'm on the yard again. Right. Same scenario. Me and these cats that I knew or whatever got close with or whatever. We over here shooting dice. Right? And then Pierre come on the yard. Now, I have to brace y'all. I have to brace y'all to what I seen. And it was not good. When I seen Pierre, the last time I seen Pierre, y'all, Pierre had all his teeth. He had both eyes, both arms, and both legs. He even had a good grade of hair on top of his head. Let me tell y'all how Pierre looked when I seen him. Pierre's eye was missing. His right eye was missing. Right? The middle of his lip was split like how can I put? His upper lip was like split, but like healed, but like flappy. Right? And he had a mean limp. L-I-M-P. Limp. Pierre looked like a monster. Like somebody put him through the grinder. When I seen Pierre, y'all, my heart dropped. My heart dropped. So he chain smoking. Right, this the time when cigarettes were still in play, right? He hit the yard and he chain smoking. So I walk, I'm like, hey, what's up, P? And he looking at me. And I can tell, man, this ain't the same Pierre that I left from the other prison. This ain't the same Pierre that I knew from the streets, y'all. So he looking at me, and he was like, oh, what up, D? And he just walk off. And I'm like, damn. So I put the word out because I want to know what happened to him. And I want to ask him, you know, for him to relive that trauma. And he just don't seem like the same person at all. So I put the word out, asked the cats that, you know, came from the prison that he came from, whatever. And they was like, man, yo, he was getting tortured up in there, man. Somebody from the street put some money on his head. And I was like, what? It was like, yes, apparently whatever he did out there, somebody put money on his head. And they said they don't want him to die. They want him to suffer, to be tortured. And, you know, dudes was collecting that bounty. And, well, you see what he looked like. I said, damn. Now, I got to thinking to myself, like, who would do something like that? And I thought about it. When he took his dad's life, he hurt a lot of people. He hurt a lot of people. And well, that's the story of Pierre. If you enjoyed this story time, make sure you leave me a tip. Also, if you forgot to hit the like button, make sure y'all smash that like button and share this video and hype the video. Make sure y'all check out my Amazon wish list. I got some items in there that I need purchased. So y'all make sure y'all look out for y'all big partner. If you can't get enough of these stories, I made another channel. I'm going to have that link pinned at the top of the comment section too and in the description. Until next time, take care.